I need everyone in the crowd to close their eyes, please. Think about the greatest player you know, someone who could seduce absolutely anyone. They walk into the room and the conversation stops. Girls want to be with him and guys want to be him. Not just guy players, girl players too. Now open your eyes. Me again. I'm here to tell you today how far away from that I am. And this is me. Right? Looks like me. I recently met the woman of my dreams. And this is her. She's hot, right? As you can tell, she was tall, she was beautiful, she was smart, she was multilingual, she was beautiful, she was beautiful. She was everything that's right with this world, and I decided that I liked her. In fact, I decided that I loved her, and I wanted her to love me back. So, as a brand strategist, my first reflex, obviously, was to put together a foolproof strategy and document it in PowerPoint. Very romantic, I know. So let me walk you through it. First off, I decided I would text her 15 times in a row, regardless of response. So here are my text messages. Secondly, to make her mine, obviously, I decided that I would shower her with gifts so that she'd be mine. Here are the gifts. I hope you guys are taking notes. Thirdly, I thought, if I really want this girl to like me, actually love me, I'm going to make myself available to her at all times so that she'd be mine. So she turns around, she needs something, Amarsy is there. So here I am, a little version of me, portable, in case you need me. Please excuse my drawing skills, it's my fat fingers. And lastly, in my quest to make her mine, I told myself, if I really want this girl, I'll make her my world. That's my world, and her in it. So, this whole strategy, and you can tell, was built on romance and passion, more so on communication, was built on the same assumption that most people have today. That when you think about attraction and building attraction, that it's actually a measure of effort. So what I'm trying to say is, the harder you try, the more a person will like you. And this model does work when you think about it with a complete stranger. You don't know the person, you've got no chance. You say hi, she knows you exist. You make a sentence, she realizes that you're a coherent human being. You make a joke, now you're in. Now she can at least make her decision. So like I said, this model of attraction over effort and the correlation between it does work, but only to a certain extent. What I realize is that this relationship works in building and opening, but at a certain point, turns against you. This was the point where I was spending 30 to 40 minutes on her Facebook page, waiting for her to do something, so I could like it and comment and tell her how much I loved her. I tried. I swear I tried. My friends would call it stalking, being pushy, overpowering. I don't know what these words mean. I just show love. But little did I have to explain to you guys, it was a crash and burn. It didn't work out. The girl of my dreams is still out there. I hope she's not dating anyone else, but it didn't work out. What did happen, though, is I turned to Robert Greene's The Art of Seduction. I turned to literature where I had to read how to get about seducing people. And he opened the books with a story about Cleopatra. And everyone knows Cleopatra, right? She's famous for one thing, her nose, right? Because this gave her a very distinct look. And actually, it's common knowledge that Cleopatra was in no way the most beautiful woman in Egypt. And God knows there are beautiful women in Egypt, but she was not one of them. But she was also famous for a whole other thing, her boyfriends. See, the thing is, at the height of the Roman Empire, when Caesar was at the head of it, he passed by Egypt, hang out, see one of his possessions, and met Cleopatra, and she totally put him under her spell. She would tell him everything he wanted to hear, his ultimate fantasies about world domination. She'd reenact Greek mythology. She'd tell him everything the guy could possibly want to hear. And she totally had him. At a certain point, she had him in Egypt for 6 months. Imagine you're running a country and you're away from it for 6 months. What she did is, like I said, she'd tell him the ultimate stories, and every once in a while, she'd totally cut him off. She wouldn't show him any face. She wouldn't talk to him at all. She, at this point, had the most powerful man in the world, the most powerful man of his time, on his knees, in her palm, begging for her. In the end, she would give in, but the Roman people realized that if our ruler is at the mercy of this woman, perhaps he shouldn't be our ruler. So they replaced him with another guy, Mark Antony. You know what the problem is with Mark Antony? He also met Cleopatra. And the same thing happened. She was like, I like you, you should like me, but no. So I realized Cleopatra, like I said, perhaps not the most beautiful woman in the world, was able to bring the most powerful man in the world to his knees. She treated a king not like a king. And I did the parallel in my mind with this girl of my dreams who I desperately tried to get. I treated her like a queen, didn't I? I mean, 15 text messages. That's not 14. 14 is not enough. That's not 16. That's pushy. 15. I treated her like a queen, and I got no love. So I kept telling myself this in my head, to make me feel better. You're still single, but it's okay. You treated her like a queen, but you got no love. And I echoed and echoed in my head when I finally got around to working again, because I kind of didn't pay much attention to work when I was under this girl's spell. I realized that there was a huge parallel with my professional life. And like I said, I'm a brand strategist. And in advertising and marketing and business school, they teach you one thing, that the customer is king. When I saw that parallel, I wanted to see if there were brands out there that were equally as desperate as me. And there are. Because when a brand is on TV, or on web banners, or in print, constantly talking at you, that's no different than my 15 text messages in a row. My desperate pleas for a little attention, right? And with my constant gifts, is that no different than when a brand gives you coupons? Are those not bribes to get you to be liked? Think about availability, right? I said there should be no waking moment where she turns around and there is no Amarsy. I should be there for her in case she's thirsty. She might want some water. So that's the same mentality that brands have today. You'll see that they put their products where you'd expect them and where you'd least expect them. So today, we find chips in the chips aisle and chips in the Coke aisle. Subliminal messages in case there's someone single in the room. And lastly, part of my master strategy, which failed so greatly, I told you, right, I'd make her my world. Any sort of request, any sort of problem, come to Amarsy. Sorry. Is that no different than brands today that linger and lurk on Facebook and Twitter, just waiting for us to complain about them with a hashtag about them? They just swoop in and say, hey, we'll make it all better. It's that same mentality, the same desperateness that led me to not getting the girl of my dreams. In the end, what Cleopatra taught us, that it comes down to this mix of pleasure and pain. So yes, like I said, with a complete stranger, there is a correlation between attraction and effort. I swear to God there is. It kind of worked for a bit. But if you keep trying too hard, it won't work out. So you've got to mix this pleasure and pain to get to where you want to be. And there are some brands that have done it right. Let's look at them together. When's the last time you saw a Ferrari ad? Never. You see Ferraris in two places. First one is on Sheikh Zayed Road, when they zip by you and you're just wiping the drool off your face. The second is on the wall of a 16-year-old's bedroom. What Ferrari has managed to do is to create presence through absence. It's similar to the guys out there. When you go to a party and there are 13 girls, 12 of them come say, hi, Ali, how are you doing? But the 13th one doesn't. You wonder, what's that girl's problem? Why is she talking to me? How can I get her attention? The party is shot. You're spending the entire night wondering, what can I do to get her attention? Secondly, remember how I said before this effect of coupons, discounts, bribes to be your friend? think about the effects of something as simple as 20% off. It's seen in behavioral economics that when a brand or a product consistently prices itself off at 20% off, consumers start to believe that it's 80% as effective and therefore 80% worth its value. In human terms, what I'm trying to say is, if you consistently sell yourself short, people will believe that you are that. A parallel to the game of seduction, when you know that your prey is going to give in, you want it that much less. We need the chase. Thirdly, when speaking about availability, to all the guys in the crowd, can you just help me out? These two bags, they're equal, right? Who says yes? Guys, come on, help me out. Yeah, right? Okay, well, I thought so. Apparently, you guys are much more educated and learned than me. I thought they were the same. Don't be fooled by the fact that they both carry things, they both have handles, and they both cost $12,000. They are extremely different. My mothers and sisters will tell you that. They've actually slapped me before, because the one on the left is a handbag from Coach. If you like it, you can have it. Go down to the mall and you can buy it. It'll simply cost you $12,000 and you'll love it. The one on the right, however, is the famous Hermès Birkin. And no matter who you are, when you want it, you've got to get on a 2-year waiting list. So this is 2 years of fantasizing about it, seeing what you're going to match it with, where you're going to take it, who you're going to show up with it. So imagine the level of happiness. When you get the Coach one, you feel great. Again, something my mother can confirm. When you get the Hermès one, you feel extraordinary. You feel like a total champ because of that anticipation that was built. So to the guys in the crowd, similarly, when you have a great first date, don't just call the girl back. Build some anticipation, and then call her back. Oh, don't hate me. They get me. Lastly, one of the most famous and successful brands of all time, Apple. Sorry, this is my cheap attempt at drawing an iPhone. My sister's a designer, it's genetic. Apple, since 1984, has lived by the singular conviction that everything they do and everything that they create, whether it's their stores or their products, are built with the user in mind. So it's got to be simple, and it's got to be pretty, and it's got to be made for idiots. I use an Apple. What they decided is that the iPhone and iPad, for example, would never have a stylus. And you could message all the way up to the CEO, and he would answer you directly. Listen, this is our vision. This is how we're going to design it. Either you like it or you don't. Either you're with us or you're not. That's why today, when consumers buy an Apple product, they know that it's built without compromise with their wants and needs in mind. That is the true strength of a brand. That's why girls can always respect a guy who wears pink, no matter what the fashion police says. So, in summary, what I'm trying to say is, it's not always about saying, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. She won't love you back. I'm still chronically single. It's about mixing pleasure and pain to create this value. So whether it's anticipation, flirtation, or doing the things you want to do, if you treat the consumer as king, it's the surest way to be ignored. Because in the end, seduction is about being around long enough to be dreamt about, all while keeping things mysterious. It's about tempting and teasing, not spoiling. It's about allowing yourself to be missed in a crowd that longs for one's attention. And it's about doing things your way and behaving like you're someone like options. Because whether it was a story about you and a girl who you could have moved into a studio with in TCOM and lived a blissful life, that's grand, or you're selling chocolate bars or yachts, ultimately, we're all just people in the game of seduction, and I think that's a thought worth sharing.